this was gonna make GraceTube so much longer because I gotta play a song. Okay. Hi there, and welcome to GraceTube. No, wait. It's not GraceTube anymore. JuniperGraceTube number 2. It's like the new generation of GraceTubes. And I am here with my ukulele to play a little song for you. This is one that has been stuck in my head all week long ever since we played it in church. So, yes, you heard that correctly. I bring my ukulele and I play in church. It's just so much fun. So this song is called Rhythms of Grace, and it's by Chris Davenport and Dean Usher. And I love it. I can't get it out of my head. So I'm going to play it for you. And then after that, we're going to talk about some knitting and lifey things. Okay? Okay. My life is a life for your cause. My will laid aside for your call. And reserved are the depths of my heart only for you. I'm caught in the rhythms of grace. They overcome all of my ways, realigning each step every day to live for your glory. 'Cause there's none beside you, God. There's none beside you, God. You're there in the dark of the night, while holding the sun in its light. Through the triumphant trials alike, there's no one beside you. Your voice called the stars by their name, 'cause you whispered them all to their place, to testify to your wonders and praise, both now and forever. 'Cause there's none beside you, God. There's none beside you, God. I live my life to shine your light, for there's none beside you, God. No eye has seen and no ear has heard the depths of your love, Lord. No mind can fathom the love you deserve and how great you are. No eye has seen, no ear has heard the depths of your love, Lord. No mind can fathom the love you deserve and how great you are. No eye has seen, no ear has heard the depths of your love, Lord. No mind can fathom the love you deserve and how great you are. As you can tell, we have changed locations a little bit here. And I think it's only because the last time it was so dark, it was driving me crazy. yeah, it was. That's okay. These are things that, you know, I'm sure all video podcasters have to go through unless they are like Vullenvine, and she does this for a living and she probably has all this set up. I don't really do this for a living. I do this for my fun living. My living of fun. You know, the way that where they only pay you in experience and happy memories. But I'll take the experience and I'll take the happy memories. Oh my goodness. I am so thankful for all of you that have come into my life over this past week. Thanks to Paula and Susan B. Anderson. She liked my blog and a podcast. She linked it on her website, and I just all of a sudden I had this influx of visitors and comments to my everything because holy cannoli, Susan B. Anderson put me on her blog. For those of you that don't know, which I don't know, if you're in the knitting community, you know who Susan B. Anderson is. She is this adorable lady who loves to run and knit a ton of socks. Like, I'm so envious of her sock collection. And she designs incredible things, not just clothing, but these amazing little toys that are so cute. You just want to squish them and hug them and eat them. No, that's weird. You don't want to eat them. Don't eat them. They wouldn't taste good. They'd do so much better as toys. And I'm sure, I mean, lots of people like Mary from the Knitting Dish. She is knitting the topsy-turvy little bunny rabbit. That's my bunny rabbit because I don't have one, but bunny rabbit that turns into a lamb. You kind of flip it. I don't know. Susan's genius. She has it all figured out. So she gave me a little shout out, and then so did Paula, and Paula was making fun of me as per usual. I can take it. Saying that she thinks it's hilarious how I try to convince people that I'm actually introverted. But here's the secret. Just because you have more words than most people doesn't mean that your batteries are actually charged by spending time with lots of people. They are more charged by spending time with maybe one person. That was my fridge. Not a monster, just my my freezer. It makes funny little thunking noises, and when I first moved in here, I thought someone was breaking in every single time that noise happened, till I got used to it. Okay, but just because you have more words than most people, like me, I have more words than most people, doesn't mean that, you know, if I went into a crowded room, like, there were times at the knitting retreat that I was like, whoa, I'm just gonna go sit over at this table with Loelle and just be quiet and sit and recharge a little bit. Or, I mean, I'm pretty sure I stayed up till about 2 or 3 o'clock every night. Partly because of my jet lag, because I was literally across the country. Apparently I can't say literally. Literally. Across the country. And it was 3 hours earlier, so like 10 o'clock was like 7 o'clock for me, and everyone was, oh, I'm so tired, it's 10 o'clock, I've got to go to bed. And I'm like, hey, it's only 7 o'clock, let's keep knitting till midnight, which would be 3 o'clock your time. But it worked in my favor, because then I was able to use the much coveted / overused / not really working Wi-Fi that I had to rely on because I am cheap and I didn't want to pay for anything or try to figure out anything while I was in the States or get slapped with any kind of extra bills or anything. Okay. Oh, I know. New things have been happening here in the Juniper Grace hood. Juniper land. Juniper town. I like that. Juniper town. It's like Whoville. Juniperville. Okay, so you start this podcast thing and you're like, holy cannoli, I started on a podcast and I don't know where I'm going and I don't know what's next, and I know that I need some banners and I need a Ravelry group and I need to figure out how to put my thing on iTunes. I mean, I have no clue. That's confusing. So if anyone knows how to do that, do you want to just hook a sister up or help her out? This sister. So I started a little Juniper Grace group, and I was like, yay, Ravelry group. And they're like, put in a button thing, you know, those little, like, this is the group. And I thought, okay, I'll grab a picture of me. What picture do I have? Oh, there's the picture of me in front of the wall of Quince and Company yarn where I'm making this face. Horrible, horrible face. But I'm like, so excited. So I thought, okay, that'll be cute for a little while. It won't be forever, but it'll be for a little while. And that'll do. But then it's like the weird dimensions. It's like 150 pixels by 60 a pixel. Is it pixels? I don't know. See, shows how like useless I am at this stuff. Like I am competent on a Mac, and I am slightly less than competent on a PC because I haven't had a PC for a while. But OMG, HTML code. What is this stuff? So I started my little group, and it looks really sad and very like ghetto fabulous. And I invited just a few people because I was almost embarrassed. So I guess I'll go back and I'll invite the rest of my group of friends in case you're offended that I didn't invite you. Don't be offended. There wasn't much. Also, I still need to figure out how to sticky. Like, I'm so sorry for people that aren't on Ravelry, that don't get this, and I keep talking about it. You could just forward a few, like a minute or two, maybe 5. I don't know how long I'm going to be talking about this, but just so you know, that's what I'm going to be talking about for a couple seconds. How do you sticky a little thread, like a conversation topic, you know? Like I want the introductions to sit, and you know how it has that little green arrow? Where is that? There's no button that says put a green arrow here. So I'm guessing it's HTML code. I don't know. So somebody needs to help me with that. But then this amazing message comes. So I'm getting like, oh my gosh, best week of life. Like after I put up the podcast and people started shouting out about it. And Mel from Single Handed Knits, she was shouting about it. And Mary from Knitting Dish, I keep making my show notes so terrible. I have so many show notes. They were all mentioning it, and so I had all these visitors, and oh my gosh, I woke up and like Instagram exploded. It feels so good. It's like warm and fuzzy, and all these messages in my inbox, and then this wonderful woman named Heather, who goes by Pine Feather. She's amazing. She's Pine Feather on Instagram and Pine Feather on Ravelry. And she has a blog where she demonstrates how to make the coolest cards. I think it's a Stampin' Up! Or something like Stampin' Up! I don't know. But she's just like, oh, well, if you need some help, I mean, I do that kind of thing. I could help you. What do you think? What do you like? And so I sent her this like little list of the blog banner or the Ravelry group banners that I really liked. And I said, okay, I just want it to be really simple, please, and I don't know, go ahead. And she sends me back. She's like, okay, I'll think about it. The next day, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. The next day, I get this message, and she's like, oh, here you go. And she had made me like all the different sizes that I could use on my blog and my Ravelry group. And I mean, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably noticed I made it my little avatar. Do they even call them avatars on Instagram? Insta me thing. And she came up with the most beautiful, perfectly simple design for Juniper Grace, and it's got a little sprig of like juniper, like sprig, kind of, I don't know, looks like a little sprig with little juniper berries. I was jumping up and down when I got that message. I was so excited. It's just perfect. Like for me, I'm always talking about how, because I'm so tactile, I really like to be able to draw something. I would love to write somebody a note or write a letter rather than write an email. Although weirdly enough, I really love texting and Instagram. But I still really like just the tactile stuff. So I always doodle my name and doodle my logos, but I don't know how to translate the doodles into something that actually looks good online. And here Heather comes along, or Pine Feather comes along, and it is perfect. I showed my husband, and he's like, wait a second. That looks just like how you doodle it sometimes. You know, the way that you write the words. And then if you look at my blog, so go to my blog and just take a second, like open it up in the next window. or whatever, click it open and put me next to it. And I'll just show you that like right along, I'm guessing, nope, I'd be on the other side. Well, I don't know, it depends on what side you put my window on. But if you look right along the top, right underneath Juniper Grace, I have my little tagline. And she picked the exact font that I use for my labels that I put into my clothes and things that I knit. How did she do this? She is psychic. In a good way, like not a bad, scary way. Speaking of which, my mittens. Look, guys, I came prepared. I set up little tables of things to show you. Okay, and yeah, you know what? I think I've just embraced it. This is gonna be probably like an hour-long podcast on average, especially if you guys want music. That's like 5 or 10 minutes that I could be chitter-chattering. Okay, so I'm gonna hold this up. These are my, first of all, these are my most favorite mittens. They are I don't know if I'm allowed to talk. Jane Richmond is amazing. And she's gonna release something for you soon. So many people have seen it. I really hope you're not upset, Jane. I'm not trying to give away too much. But she made these. I was whining close to springtime. I was just whining because I'm like, I need mittens. I've always had mittens in my purse all year round, and usually they're kind of clunky ones that I made out of cheap acrylic yarn before I understood, you know, the joys of really nice wool. And I was just like, man, I really want a pair of like sport weight mittens, you know, like a lighter fingering weight mitten that could be really nice and I could wear it and enjoy. And then my hands won't be too hot in the kind of springy, summery time, but they'll still be warm. And Jane's like, I think I have a pattern for you. And so she's like, I'll work it up and I'll send it to you. Just remind me. So, you know, a couple days go by and then I'm like, Jane, do you have the mitten pattern, please? And she sends it to me and I knit them because she designed these, especially for the self-striping, I keep calling it Felici, whatever it was, from Knit Picks, and it's the sport weight. But then, of course, the most amazing mittens of my life I've made. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm going to buy yarn and make 10 million of these and sell them at my little craft fair. Nope, they discontinued the yarn. And I didn't clue in when these were on sale because it takes just one ball to knit the full pair of mittens. And that's also part of the charm. I didn't clue in when this colorway is called Boutique. I didn't clue in when it was on sale for $2 a ball. I mean, I bought four balls. I should have bought 40 balls. Oh, somebody messaged me. I didn't turn that off. Oops, sorry guys. Hopefully the person will stop messaging me. But I didn't clue in and I didn't buy a bunch of yarn. So now I've been trolling Ravelry D-stashes to like swoop up as much of the sport Felici yarn that I can get my hands on because these are just the most fun to knit. And it's okay. Good news for the people out there. The lovely Jane Richmond is reworking this. And she talked about it on Mel's blog, so I think it's okay for me to say, but it sounds like she's reworking this in the fingering weight, which has not been discontinued. It's just one of those things that if they put out a colorway that you like, don't sit around and wait. You need to snatch it up because as soon as that colorway is gone, it is gone. Why would they do this to us? It's not fair. Okay, so, and then on a side note, if any of you have some of the sport, like a full ball of the Felici, even if it's just one, I'm just going to put the call out there right now. I will happily pay for it or take it as a gift or whatever you want. I just really, really want to get my hands on this stuff. So if you can help a sister out, PM me on Ravelry, personal message for the kids that don't know the lingo. Personal message me on Ravelry and we'll work out a deal. I tell you. Okay, so back to what I was talking about. So everyone's been bugging me. Well, not bugging me, but I mean, I'm just really bad and I haven't gotten to it. So this is where I actually say out loud that I am going to give you guys information on where I got these tags. Camera, now hold still. See guys, I'm getting it. Okay, so I have these adorable little tags that are, they are ribbon, kind of. They're like a gross grain ribbon with, I think it's gross grain. Is that the right word? I don't It's ribbon. It's like this beautiful kind of rusticy looking ribbon that this person on Etsy, oh gosh, I didn't write down her name. I think it's Ink Meets Paper. No. Dang. Okay, well, anyways, I will put a huge link with a picture right in my blog. I think I'll even make it its own little post so that you can keep coming back to it, and just search Juniper Grace's tags. Juniper Grace tags, I think. Yeah, I'll tag it that way. And then you can get your own. She sells them. I think it cost me not too much, maybe 20 something to get a spool of 120. They come on like a little spool, and I thought I brought it with me, but I'm not. Oh gosh, just when I was all organized and stuff, guys, it all falls apart. Okay. Pardon me while I visually search for something on the tables. Nope. Okay. I was awesome, but only so awesome. They come in like just a spool of ribbon, and you get to decide exactly how you want your tag to be. You can put a little picture, you can pick the font, you can choose what you want to say. So I'm going to make some for my mom for her knitting, coming up soon here. But you get to pick what you want, and then they'll send it to you, and then it's just coiled on this ribbon, and you just snip off one when you need it, and you sew it on. And I was introduced to this person from my good friend Rebecca, Rebecca Gunderson. She has her own blog, and it is called Nook. And she's the most amazing and speedy knitter ever. And she showed up to Knit Night one night with her little adorable little mug hug cozy things, for the hot cups, which we all were like, we want one, we want 20, like I want one in every color. I just love them. They're made out of cotton yarn. They're gorgeous, and they're just so simple but so beautiful, and that's kind of her aesthetic, which I love. And then they had these adorable little labels that just said Nook on them. Nook. Genius. And I was like, Rebecca, where'd you get those? Can I get some? Paula wants me, sorry Paula, so I will. Yes, I know you told me, you even put it out on the board, the little Knitting Pipelines group board. You're like, paging Juniper Grace, tell us where you got those labels. So I will, I promise 100%. No wait, that's probably bad, right? Pinky swear? Pinky. See, that's me pinking, swearing you, and then we lock it with our thumbs. And I will put a big, huge post and make it really easy, and I'll link it on Ravelry and everything, so that you guys can get your own, because this seller is incredible, and you can pick the width, you can pick the length, you can pick more, less, whatever you want. It's becoming like an annual purchase for me, and I'm afraid, I hope she stays in business. I might need, oh no, now I'm all worried. I need to go and like stockpile some. I put them on everything. I put them on all my hand knits. I put them on my mittens, of course. I put them on, I make little crocheted coffee cozies that are, I call them chevrons because they've got the zigzaggy chevron pattern around. And they're just so cute, and everyone loves them. And I feel like it just adds that last finishing touch, right? That separates your knitwear, because I go to craft fairs, and there's lots of booths that sell tons of knitwear, but the difference between mine and theirs is that I use pretty nice stuff. I mean, I don't go for like the top of the line yarn, just because people don't really know necessarily how to take care of it, and they don't really want to pay for it. So I usually pick like a blend or a mix or something that's nicer, but then I put my tags in it. And then I do charge a little bit, and then there's these other people that come along and they're selling, a dime a dozen. They call them infinity scarves. I call mine cowls. I don't know. That's what they are to me. Cowls. They're beautiful. Those big, around your neck things. They sell them for like $15. They look like a dog's dinner when you walk by the booth, because there's just like, okay, that's rude. Okay, they don't look like a dog's dinner, but they just don't look, I mean, there's no cohesive element. They haven't picked like a color theme. They pick whatever. You can just tell they go and buy just a ton of yarn as cheap as they can get, like the acrylic stuff, crank them out. But I mean, selling them for $15, it's like you're not even beginning to get back the time that you've spent on that thing. I don't know. Don't even get me started. That's craft show politics. Let's move on. Let's move on. Okay, speaking of craft shows. So I did my annual craft fair with my mom. And 2 weekends ago. It was crazy. I went away to Maine for my birthday thing. I flew across the country. I flew back across the country. I hit the ground running. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just forgot that there was still going to be life after Maine. And I had to work the next day. And it was the first time that I worked at a different location. I work for a bank. And my position is considered mobile, and so what I do is I kind of fill in the blanks. If someone's sick or on vacation, there's me. And so oh gosh, the first time I had to go somewhere other than my home branch was the day after Maine. I had all these things to do, and then of course, the weekend after Maine, I think it was the weekend after, or maybe 2 weekends after, either way, it was 2 weekends after, because I got home on Thursday night. So it wasn't that weekend, it was the one after. I had managed to double book myself with my annual craft fair that I do with my mom, which is a big deal, you know, and brownie camp, because I'm a brownie leader. Oh, and I think there was also a bridal shower for my sister-in-law, and oh, wow, yeah, probably like one other thing. Oh, and I was I was potentially gonna work on Saturday, which was one of the days that the first day of the craft fair, and then also the start of brownie camp that evening. So I frantically tried to rearrange my schedule. I opened up my schedule. I was supposed to get my day off on Friday, not Saturday, of course, right? Of course. So I opened myself up availability-wise for Friday, and if they called me into work, then I would work Friday instead of Saturday, and I'd have Saturday off. So I did not know until Friday morning at about 10 that I was actually going to be able to do this craft fair with my mom. Talk about a little bit stressful. But it all worked out, and it was, I just kind of like, dope. Grace, you should have had a V8. Like, I just should have had a little more forethinking, like, have you ever I'm sure you've had those moments where you're just like, what were you thinking, Grace? I don't know. And of course, you talk to yourself like that. What were you thinking, Grace? No, your name's not Grace, but my name is Grace. So I'm always like, Grace, why? Why do you do that? And the problem is I'm so, like I said, so tactile that I prefer to write it down and have like a physical little calendar. But then I don't have my physical little calendar with me everywhere I go, which I should. I should just do that. I should just put the dang planner in my purse. But I can't. I don't know, I'm just so fickle, and I can't find one that I really like, or I find one that I really like and I go gangbusters, like Mary said. Gangbusters, and I fill the whole thing out, and then I forget about it. I don't know. Maybe I'm lacking in the discipline department. I need to, you know what I need to do? We have this thing that when you're a little kid, you get the star charts. Like, my mom was a grade 1-2 teacher for years and years and years, and I know that she used some of her methods on me, for sure. So we definitely had these, and they were straight up from like only things that teachers can get, sticker star chart things with like a bunny or a clown, and you put it up on the wall, and then if you're good, you behave yourself or you do your chores, you get a sticker. And then after you fill a line with stickers, you get, for me it was Grand Champions. Do you guys remember Grand Champions? I don't know if they have them. They're kind of like the Breyer horses. I can't remember the name, but there's this really like top of the line, awesome brand of horses, like horse toys. They're toys, but they're so realistic, really accurate. You can get any kind of horse you want, but they cost like your left arm. And I don't know about you guys, but we didn't have that kind of money. I definitely, growing up, it was just mom and I, and nope, couldn't afford those. But the step down were these Grand Champions, and they sold them at Toys R Us, and they came with like actual hair manes, like that you could brush or braid, and I definitely brushed and braided, and their tails, and then they came out with some that had fuzz on the body, so they felt, soft, like a real horse, but not really, and then they had the little colts and foals, and little riders. I mean, I could care less about the riders, and then they had like the actual stable that you could get for them, and and they came up with one that had like a button that you pressed on its saddle, and it actually sounded like a horse galloping, and it looked like a horse galloping, like it had its, like, oh, I don't know, that looks more like a zombie, but a horse, it looked like a horse galloping. And I loved those things. Like, I lived for those things. I loved Barbies, but Grand Champions. I read Pony Pals, the books. I don't know. We're having like a 90s girl flashback here. Pony Pals and Grand Champions. I could not get enough. Oh, and the Saddle Club. Holler if you know what I'm talking about, girls. So Mom would actually bribe me, basically, with Grand Champions. If I behaved all week long, Friday night we would go out for our girls' dinner. And we would go to this like 50s diner, and I'd have a vanilla milkshake, and it was so much fun. And then right next to the diner was Toys R Us. And so we would go to Toys R Us, and I'd get to pick one Grand Champion. And if I saved up my good points or whatever, like my star chart, for like a couple weeks, I could get a big Grand Champion, like a mama horse, like a, a mare or whatever. But then if I needed the instant gratification, so like if I was saving it up, we'd go and we'd just look, and I'd pick one that I was going to work towards, right? But if I needed instant gratification, I was able to get just a little foal or a colt, because those were only like $5 or whatever. And yeah, and so I got a pretty good extensive collection that we ended up, later on, I think we donated them to a women's shelter, but I'm pretty sure I kept like one of them, which means now I have to go digging through my toys. I think there's a bin under my mom's house. They have a crawl space. It's not just like we dug a hole and stuck it under the house. They have storage down there. So I think I have a bin with some old toys, and I might have to go dig out that Grand Champion and show you guys. I think I kept the Palomino, because Palominos are always my favorite. I don't really know why. I just like them. I like the color of their mane. And I think it was my first one that I ever got. And I think, sorry guys, welcome to my world. I'm just going to tell you guys stories. So I think also my mom, when she was little, she had kind of like, little girls and horses. She had these beautiful little china figurines. And so like, this is way scary for like a young person to have. And I think only one probably survived. But she had these little china horses that, lost legs, but there was one that was kind of laying down or sitting down, and it was a Palomino, and it survived, and I think Mom still has it. And so if you're watching this, Mom, do you want to dig it out? Because I really want to see it again. It was so precious. She had this little Palomino, and it was my favorite one. And probably then I was like, oh, it's a Palomino Grand Champion. Have to have this one. Okay, so like super long roundabout story. Star charts. I think that in order for me to successfully continue to use a day planner, and this is just another thing I'm thinking about, I need to make a star chart for it. And I need to bribe myself. I wonder if they still have Grand Champions. Oh my gosh. No, I don't need, okay, no. Don't need a collection of toys anymore. I'm so bad. I just love them. I love kids' toys. I wish I was a kid. Okay, maybe that's why we have kids. Well, no, that's not the complete purpose of having kids. But, like we get to kind of relive our childhood. So speaking of those like funny little animal collections that I've had in my life, at the craft fair, when you're kind of sitting there, it wasn't that great this year. I didn't sell as much. I kind of had to cut my prices because there were all these people selling cowls for like $10. So normally I sell mine for 30 or 35, and I had to cut them down to like 20 and 25. And then they sort of sold, but they mostly sold to other vendors. Go figure. That's okay. If I had knit mittens, those would have gone. I just didn't know. So anyways, I had to kind of make myself better or feel a little bit better. I went around and I got to, see things and buy a few things. So first I got a little alpaca. Wonder if he can, no, if he sits there, you can't see him. He's so cute, guys. Look at him. I'm sure you've seen these things around. Like, they're not, but look, he has such a nice little face. He needs a name. If you name things, you love them more. It's like plants. If you give plants a name, you love them more. And if you give fish, look at his little tail. If you give fish a name, they live longer. Like my fish noodles. And then, guys, it's a moose. He's bronze, and there was somebody right next to me that had oh, somebody stop messaging me, that had this like vintage stuff going on, and it's a moose. I couldn't help myself, and he's so cute, and I think I'll just dangle like jewelry and stuff from him, or I don't know, just have him sitting somewhere. Probably my husband thinks I'm crazy sometimes, the things that I bring home. But it's been, that segues into what I wanted to talk about next. So it has been like craft heaven, like craft fair heaven lately around here. And so I'll show you, like this weekend alone, I went to 2 different craft fairs. And one was called the Owl Designer Fair, and I love it because it's got owls. Ooh. Okay, so first of all, one of my good girlfriends and her husband were there playing music, and so I'm just going to give a little shout out to Shanda and Dan, Deer and Coyote. Go find this album. It's on iTunes. It's pretty wicked. She's from Alberta, which is where I'm from, but he's from Pender Island, which is in BC, and it's really close to here. And they're living there now and making music, and that was incredible. Then I got oh, I know. Okay, so I got some presents for my husband, and I'm not going to put them up just in case, you know, he watches this. I don't think he does. He's really busy studying for homework right now. He'll probably catch up later, but studying for homework, studying for school. This is the other thing I found, and I can't remember the girl's name because she didn't put it on the back, but my best friend and I, this is what we do. We find things we like, and we buy each other the things right in front of each other. So there was one with teal in the background, and so she bought it for me, and then I wrote a little, oh, it's really wavy. Sorry, one second. I might have to press pause. I'll try to hold it up straight. Just says, "To my darling best friend, Christmas 2013, I love you, dear." And so that's going to be one of her little presents. She already knows about it, so I can put it on here. Oh, and then I found this awesome, okay, all these places, they don't really label their stuff. But this one is called Refind, and she has only an email address. I don't think she was very techy, but I'll put up her info. She made little wooden brooches, and I love to use the brooches to hold things like my shawls together. And this is a picture clipped out of a Rupert book. So it's just so freaking cute. I love it. Like I said, I'll show you, for example, I hold I didn't get shawl pins. I always thought, I could just tuck and loop and stuff, but when I'm working, I'm moving all the time, and then my shawl wants to come flying off, and that's a little unprofessional for the bank. It's a little awkward. So I've been kind of clipping things together. This, oops, upside down, is a little, oops, hair. This is a little brooch that I actually made for my husband's grandmother 2 or 3 years ago. I just painted the little owl, and then I stitched, the felt on there. I painted the owl on some plain fabric. The stuff that you use for embroidery. I can't remember what it's called. Why can't I remember? I don't know. Anyways, and she passed away this year, and when she did pass away, they gave me back the little owl things that I'd made for her. So this has been kind of a permanent fixture. But I want to spruce it up, and I had an idea a long time ago that I would start collecting funky brooches from Etsy. I have a really cool blog post coming up. It's in the works. That's all to do with my little Christmas wish list, and there's a ton of people and things from Etsy that you can check out, and there's, I think, at least one brooch on there. Yeah, so craft fair. That's what I bought there. And then I went to another craft fair where I found these amazing soup in a bag. Like everything you need to make, and it makes like 8 servings. It's called Mitchell's Soup Company. And they're from, I think, Salt Spring Island. And I got, I got lots. Just because it's just so cool. I got that. Yeah, okay, so let's stop talking about craft fairs, only because I want to get to, we've got about 15 minutes left because I really want to kind of cap it at an hour. Let's just leave it at an hour. Sorry, guys. I know Julie wanted, like, longer and longer, but oh my gosh, no, it's not going to happen. So I'm going to segue into knitting talk, official knitting talk with my little owl mug. I love this thing. I got it for my birthday last year. And it's got a little bit of coffee, just coffee, I swear, that I made for myself. So this is your segue. Please grab your happy little warm beverage unless you already have one. Pick up your knitting and let's talk about the things on my needles. Yeah, mostly on my needles. I don't really have my off my needles things. Yeah, let's get down to knitting talk because, well, you know, that's kind of the idea of this thing. So at the craft fair, I realized that there was an opportunity because everyone is constantly complimenting me on these mitts, and Jane Richmond has graciously said to me, as long as I link and I let everyone know what her pattern is, you know, if it's hers, I'm allowed to knit it and sell it. Because, hey, I don't have as many awesome knitting patterns at all that she does at all. Like, I don't design, but I happily make. I'm good at making the things and selling them. So I advertised and I said, these are Jane Richmond mittens that, you know, are very special and absolutely wonderful. And if you'd like, you can commission them from me. So I took some orders, and now comes the time to make good on the commissions. So this is, if you have been following me on Instagram, you've seen the brown and blue stripy ones. They are already gone. I was going to show them to you this morning, but my mom came by and was like, we have to give them. They're for her. What is it? My goodness, physical therapy. She has some back problems, and so she's been going and getting workouts, whatever. And her therapist is so sweet. She's so nice. And she came and she ordered a pair of those mittens for her mom, and they were in brown and blue. The colorway was Stream Bed. And so go to my Instagram. Oh yes, Instagram is Juniper Grace. I have a Ravelry group for JuniperGraceTube. My blog is just JuniperGrace.ca. Thanks to Victor, he, little shout out, he got me my domain. So it's no longer JuniperGrace.blogspot.com, it's just JuniperGrace.ca. Yay! And so this is the next pair of the boutique mittens that I am starting to, I've got two more, I have to do two of these, hopefully in the next week or so, but they, you know, honestly, it's a Jane pattern. They knit up like that, and they're genius. Okay, so that is on the needles. Oh, somebody messaged me. Oh my goodness. Okay. And then another thing I wanted to share, and if you follow, you know, Knitting Pipeline, and you follow Single-Handed Knits, and you follow, who else? Goodness. Oh, I know. Erin, Knitting in Beantown. I think her Instagram and Ravelry is 19 Vesper Street. And I'll put all this in the show notes. I swear, I will sit down and I will behave and I will make a good long show notes list. They have all been talking. Oh, even Susan B. Anderson has been talking about these magic cakes. Look at mine. Now a lot of it has come out the center already. I ended up, it was like the day before my birthday, and I was freaking out, and I was like, everyone brought their yarn, and I thought I wouldn't, you know, I didn't have any little extra bits, because like I already said, I use every last little bit. And I thought, oh no, I'm not going to be able to make a magic cake ruffle. Like I figured that was what it was going to be for. I was like, I'm not going to be able to make one because I don't have anything. So I just bought a big skein of Sweet Georgia yarn because it's beautiful. It's the same stuff that I'm wearing around my neck. The saltwater colorway and Tough Love sock. I came and I just said, okay, I'll divvy it out and I'll share and see if people will trade with me to let me make something. Little did I know that the idea was we were just going to all pile it on the table and go to town. And so the idea was that each table made a magic cake, and I lucked out. Nobody at my table really, one lady was already working on her own magic cake ruffle that she'd already made. That's Silver Bells, Angie, on Ravelry. She'd already been making hers. She was actually literally knitting it. So I went on my phone and I hopped onto the Wi-Fi, I bought the pattern, and then I went to town. I was so excited. I went and grabbed all my colors and I went crazy, and I was really bad. I didn't like weigh them the way that the pattern is actually brilliant. It actually gives you all of the most amazing. So it's Magic Cake Ruffle Shawl by Paula Emmons Fusely, Prairie Piper. And it kind of gives you tips and tricks on how to make it so that it's not like a big fat chunk of color at the top, and it kind of, you know, so that you actually have slightly even stripes going the way down. But I just didn't care, and I was so excited. I just picked colors, and then I went smaller ball kind of to bigger ball without having to weigh it. And I wound it all, but then because I didn't weigh it, I actually ended up with probably about 100 grams more than the actual pattern calls for. I got a little greedy. I couldn't help myself. You guys, you don't understand. These are like little bits of sock yarn that like I've never been able to see. I've only heard about because it's all in the States, and or maybe it's indie dyers, or I don't know. The generosity of knitters that they actually brought this and put it down and said, here, have it. I went crazy. So that's what my little ball looks like. And the idea is you're supposed to have something that's like 40 grams to finish the ruffle. My ruffle's gonna be like different colors. I mean, I probably could make 2 shawls out of how big this ball is, but I'm just gonna make one huge one and make it like every time I miss Maine, I'll just wrap up in it and be warm, because I'm a curvy girl, so I can handle a bigger shawl. Actually, a lot of it was really funny when we did our show and tell at the retreat. I was showing my Piper's Journey, and I was like, it's so tiny, but it looks so much bigger on like everyone else. And you have the option to make it bigger, but nobody in their Ravelry notes has been telling me whether or not they've been making theirs bigger. I just have to guess and assume like, oh, maybe they're just really tiny, or I can't tell. So my shawl, I just wanted to finish it, and it just kind of was tiny. So this one, I'm going to town. I'm going to have a huge, like, big shawl, because this is the beginning. And oh my goodness, guys, look at these colors. It's incredible. And I love how Paula kind of gives you little clues on what to do if you have just like a plain yarn, or if you have a variegated yarn. This one's like, this makes me think of hunting. I don't know what possessed me, like what Mel from Single Handed Knits was talking about. Like, it is kind of scary seeing all of this craziness come together. But I kind of think of it as my Molly Weasley shawl. You know, like Molly Weasley. We had a Harry Potter themed birthday party for my best friend a year ago, and my husband was Harry Potter. If you care to hunt back through Instagram, you'll find pictures. My husband was Harry Potter and I was Molly Weasley. Because hello, like, I'm totally Molly Weasley. Like, out of the friend group, I am Molly. I am taking care of everyone. I am the mom. I make sure that everyone sits down and has dinner. I make sure that they are eating and taking care of themselves. And I mean, if it was possible for me to have one of those clocks that tells me where everybody is at the same time, I would probably have it. Something like that. And then my husband he looked like Harry Potter. I got him these funny little glasses, and we painted a lightning bolt on his forehead, and he looks so freaking cute. So this is I'm just gonna call it my Molly Weasley shawl. And I wish I knew what every kind of yarn was. I think that this yellow right here is actually Quince & Company Finch, and I think it's in the Carrie's yellow colorway. And that's really special to me. Kind of like, the idea is if you have your own scraps of yarn, you can make this, and then it tells a story. Like, it kind of links all the different projects. And I like to think, it reminds you, how when you're knitting a certain project at a certain time in your life, it reminds you of those life events whenever you pick up that piece of amazing knitwear, gives you your memories. I know sometimes through hard times in my life, like what Elizabeth Zimmerman says, where she's like, knit on through all circumstances with hope and something else even in crisis, because it really does. It's, it's something that just can help you think through things. And I've done that on some tough days in my life. I remember a really tough day one time. Okay, well, I'll share with you guys because I love you and you can hear my story. Before my husband, and this was a few years ago, I actually was engaged to get married, and it didn't work out. And we had picked a date, but thank goodness we hadn't done anything else. But we picked a date, and when that date rolled around and, it wasn't the actual time, what I decided to do? I went into town because I was working at a camp, and I went to my director and I said, can I have today off? I just need some time to myself. Just, this, I had told him the story, and I just said, today is going to be a bit of a tough day. I just need some quiet time to kind of just, heal a little bit, work it out. And so I was watching the show Smallville, end to end. I think I probably almost watched an entire season in one day. And I went to town, I brought my journal, I sat and journaled in this amazing little coffee shop, and I thought, okay, what's today gonna bring? And I found a craft store, of course. And then I thought, I want to crochet a blanket. I need to crochet it out. So I went and I bought every bit of yarn I needed to make an entire Afghan. I bought the pattern, I bought the hook, because I didn't have anything with me at camp. And I spent the entire day, I crocheted an Afghan. Yep, I did it. I think I did all the squares. I didn't have a chance to sew it up yet, but I crocheted all of the squares watching Smallville. And just, and every time I look at that Afghan, I think I gave it to my mom, but every time I look at it, it just reminds me of how powerful this craft, handicrafts can be to help you through. And I understand, like with the prayer shawls, another thing that I like to do is I knit caps for people going through chemotherapy. Just really, really soft caps or not caps, but toques, as we say in Canada. We say toques or beanies, I guess you guys call them if you're from the States. I knit a lot of toques for chemotherapy people, and I pray. I just say a lot of words of, encouragement, and I pray for healing, and I pray for protection, or at least comfort while I'm making the object. And then I like to believe that when they're wearing it, it's just kind of like they're clothed in all of these wonderful good thoughts and love and kindness and well wishes. So this is getting back to it, is my Molly Weasley, and the Carrie's Yellow. Okay, oh gosh, so roundabout. So we're talking about the Carrie's Yellow. Jane let me knit a cardigan I wanted to knit myself a cardigan for my wedding. It was something that I just felt the need to do. And it was my first purchase of Quince & Company yarn. So there's so many special things about this. And it was Carrie's Yellow, and it was in Finch. And this isn't the actual yarn from my cardigan, but when I found it on the table, I thought, and it was so tiny, right? Like, it's such a little amount. I was like, that's perfect. It has to be in my shawl, because then I'll have a memory. And I had been describing it at night, the kind of cardigan I wanted, and I couldn't find it. And Jane just said, I think I have the perfect pattern in mind I've been working on. Let me crunch some numbers, and if I can make it work, I've never done this before, but maybe you can knit it with me, because it's not published. I haven't even finished it, but if we can make it work, let's do it. And I was like, are you serious? Are you serious? I probably asked her about 10 times, and then I just about fell over. I was so happy. And then it was like a mystery knit along for this cardigan, because she would get me to gauge swatch. And then she released then she was knitting and finishing the cardigan, and she's like, okay, now you can knit this chunk and then this chunk. And I was doing this on blind faith, but I love Jane, and I know that her patterns are just so beautiful. And if you've watched Mel's recent blog post on Single-Handed Knitter, her recent podcast, where she actually interviews Jane and Shannon about their new book, Island, Shannon at one point talks about how Jane's patterns are just so classic. Like, her cardigans are just, they're the go-tos. You knit them, you can knit one design like the Georgia in probably 3 different colors, and you'd wear it every day. You really would. I go back to all my Jane knits all the time, and now Shannon's patterns are becoming that for me too. But I love it because it's so classic. And she let me knit this cardigan, and then when it came time to release it, or to name the pattern, because her and Shannon, they name a lot of their patterns after people they know. She named it Grace. There's not words. It was so precious. So if you look in her and Shannon's book, Island, there's a cardigan called Grace. That's my wedding cardigan. Like, what a story. Isn't that just amazing? And so this little strip here reminds me of my wedding cardigan, and just that time of life when I met my knitting friends, and the kindness of knitters, and oh gosh. And then I guess there's just lots of other colors. I think this little strip right here is the blue that I brought. So I did keep just a touch for my own magic cake. So that's awesome. And I don't think that's going to be something that I finish right away, only because it's one of those go-to projects that you can work on while you're just anywhere. And you can put it down, it doesn't matter. You can come back to a week later and you'll still know how to knit it. I've got the pattern, tucked away in my head. I think I'll have to look at it for the ruffle, but, and then I put it in my moon cusser bag, that I scored. I scored so many of these bags, from Julie. She's Inky077 on Ravelry. She has an Etsy shop, and it's mooncusserbags.etsy.com. And she's taking pre-orders for these octopus bags. I already got one. Okay, so that, oh guys, we're gonna go just a bit over an hour. I'm sorry. Like you're complaining. I'm sure you love it. If you hate it, just, you know, you can step out at any point in time. Press pause, go have dinner, come back. I'll be here. Okay, so that is one big thing. Another really awesome thing is I'm working on something with Mel from Single-Handed Knits. She has invited me for an adventure. I'm going to be test knitting something for her. And I think I'm allowed to talk about it. Just her most recent sweater release, Halalea. It is in fingering weight, and it's gorgeous. It's just absolutely beautiful. She showed us the cardigan at the retreat, and we all oohed and awed and couldn't wait, you know, for the patterns to come out. And she's partnered with Must Stash Yarns. I think I'll have to link it, who is just a beautiful, beautiful indie yarn dyer, and they had some kits on sale for this cardigan. Anyways, I guess long story short, but they decided that they'd work up one in a thicker weight, you know, for people that might want a little heavier of a cardigan or a quicker knit or whatever, in a sport weight. And so I am going to be going on this adventure and test knitting for her. I'm so excited. And so we went, she got me, oh, okay, another story. There's this app called WhatsApp. Where's my phone? Oh, here it is. Okay, so it's called WhatsApp, and oh my goodness, this app is incredible. Like, I mean, you get it, it's free, it doesn't cost anything, and it's, okay, now you guys get a little, okay, do not judge the amount of emails that I have. A lot of them are spam, and I can't deal with them right now. It's that, see, there's the phone down here, but then up a little higher and over is that green phone in a circle. That's called WhatsApp. And it is, it's free. And what it does is, for me, because I'm stuck here in Canadian land, and I can't just pick up my phone and text or call or whatever all my friends that I made from Maine, because it would cost me an arm and a leg, and I'm a cheap Canadian, and I don't want to pay for that. But I want to talk to them. So, oh, cute. My mom, the text messages I was getting were my mom's at Bolin Books, which is a really cute bookstore in town here. I don't want to have to pay, but I want to talk to them. I want to message them. Mel loves to voice message. And the coolest thing about this app is that you can send a little snippet of your voice. So, like, I talk forever, and to text what I want to talk, it can be like a big fat text and be a little overwhelming. But if I just hold down the little button and I'm like talking into my phone, like here, talking into my phone, I can leave a little message or play some music or anything. It's so great, and it's free. It just uses, I mean, it uses your data, but if you jump on Wi-Fi, no big deal. And I am trying to convince everybody to get this because I want to be able to talk to them, like Mary Woolly Bear 368. Get your WhatsApp together here, my friend, so that I can send you messages. Because Melissa and I have been doing that. And then what we did is, when I went shopping for the yarn, which I ended up getting this, it's Barocco, some people say Barocco, I say Barocco Ultra Alpaca Light. And it is 50% superfine alpaca and 50% Peruvian wool. And it is so squishy and so soft, and I love the gray tones. It's kind of like, almost like Iceland from the Quince & Company yarn. It's kind of it's just beautiful, and it reminded Mel of the skies outside of her house, where she's living right now. And we had a virtual shopping date because I was able to message her, and she was telling me, she's like, oh, this is what the gauge is, and this is what you're looking for. And I was like, do you like this color? And I really like blues, but she really likes grays. And so, and this is a sweater she's actually going to get to keep and use as a sample. So, I mean, whatever she wanted, I was down. And so I was just trying to find the perfect yarn. And she said, oh, I would love to try an alpaca wool mix. Bam! We found it, and it's so affordable too. It's kind of like, I was just like, this is so nice, but it's only like, I think it was like $8 a hank. $8 for 50 grams. I guess it's comparable to Quince & Company then, but it's not Quince & Company. I mean, it's this big Barocco. Ideally, I would have gone Quince & Company. It's just that it would take too long to get the yarn in the mail out in Canadian land. Like, please, dear Quince & Company, will you please sell your yarn in store at my local yarn shop? Please? So this, yeah, so, but it's just so nice. And it's so squishy. And she has me gauge swatching. And now, here's the fun part. Mel is the most creative lady. Like, I just love the way her brain thinks. I wish that my brain worked the same way, but that's totally fine. I'm happy to jump on that. This is the gauge swatch. Look at it. It looks, to me, it reminds me of like a little elf hat that you could, you know, create and put on your little teddy bears and things. I told her, I was like, maybe I'll just turn them into elf hats for my teddy bears. And she's like, well, actually, there's more to this swatch. You're going to be picking up stitches. And so your teddy bears will just, you'll have to ask them if it's okay if, if you don't give them hats this year. But you know, I can just go back and make my own. I can just make the beginning part of the swatch and we've got little elf hats. But isn't that so creative? And I am so excited to see, it's like, this is like a mystery knit along as well, because she's just kind of like swatch and block. And once you get gauge, we'll go to the next step. And so I think I'm almost there. I'm knitting one more. I tried half of one, realized it was totally off, went down a needle size, knit this one. I think it's close, but not quite. And I'm going to try this one. So that's a huge thing that's a big, important, and super fun and exciting. And like, I go to bed with a grin on my face thinking about this project thing. And I think that's it. Oh, one last thing. So, oh yeah, okay. So talking about the kindness of knitters, another thing that happened to me is I went and I checked at the Maine retreat. Okay, I'm going to have a segment. And I know I'm still talking a lot about Maine all the way through, but once we get to the point where, you know, I don't have so much to share, I'm going to try to have mini Maine moments. Mini Maine moments, which, you know, is like the little segment where I just talk about Maine for a few minutes. And so this is my mini Maine moment. And I like it because it's alliteration. Mini Maine moment. Little English nerd there for you. I have a little collection. Actually, if I move my camera, I bet you can see part of it. Okay, I'm just gonna tilt you upwards. Oh, this is crazy. Whoa. Okay, so see up next to the big jugs, those are growlers. Right below, is perfect lighting. Right below my globe, I have a little collection, and that's only a few of them. I actually have a lot more of the Starbucks city mugs. They're called city mugs because they're from the different locations at Starbucks. And as a former employee of Starbucks, I kind of started collecting them. I don't really know. Sorry, that's so wobbly, putting my camera back. As a former employee of Starbucks, I just, you know, you start collecting the mugs. You can't help it. It's just, I didn't want the cards. I'm not one of those people. I just, somehow, some way, I started getting these mugs. People would bring them back from me, like from Hawaii, or I have one from India. I have, you know, all these different mugs. And so when I went on my trip to Maine, I was so excited. I was going to stop at the New York airport and get a Starbucks mug. The terminal that I was in was the one terminal at JFK that doesn't have a Starbucks. It had a big billboard that said, "Coming soon," and the logo of the siren. Then I was like, okay, great. When I get to Portland, Maine, I'm sure they'll have a mug, right? Or even if they don't have a Portland mug, they'll have a Maine mug. Yes, that'll be awesome. I'll get one there. Nope. They didn't even have a special Starbucks card. So we're like 0 for 2. Finally, the Chicago airport had one, and I got it. But I was like, I didn't even particularly love the Chicago airport. I don't know why I got it. I think I got it because I was just so mad that I couldn't get my New York mug. Because I'm not from, I don't know when I'll ever get a chance to go to New York. Hopefully someday soon. I want to go, and I want to go to Pearl Soho, and I want to go to Mood, and I want to meet Swatch, and maybe if I see Tim Gunn, you know. But anyway, so I told the ladies, I told them all about my adventures, and I was so upset about these stupid Starbucks mugs, which is so dumb because it's like, well, oh darn, I don't have to spend any money. Oh no. This amazing lady, Sue, was like, well, what's your mailing address? I was in Philadelphia and I picked you up a mug. Ah! So I got this in the mail. Here, I'll take it out. These are the new city mugs. They're not the old-fashioned ones. They're the ones that are like crazy and colorful and awesome. So look at that pretzel thing. I've never been to Philadelphia. I think that's called the Liberty Bell. I think I've seen that on movies. And you guys are like, duh, that's the Liberty Bell. Guys, I'm Canadian. It's not a duh. It's like a, ooh, tell me about the Liberty Bell. And oh, it's so pretty. And it's a big red cannon. It's kind of scary, but really awesome in the same breath. She sent this to me. Except my only criticism is, Sue, you didn't write me a note or a letter. Hello, it's mail. You don't. It's so funny because I got a little thing in the mail from my best friend's dad as well. And I call him Papa Fuhrer, that's his last name, because he's like my other dad. And actually I have it right here. He sent me Briggs and Little sample cards. Like, how cool is that? I love it. Like, it's just so sheepy and woolly, and you know, Briggs and Little, like, they're great. I've never really knit with their stuff, but now I have the sample cards, so I can order anything I want, because now I know exactly what the colors are like, the color cards. But he didn't write a note in there either. Like, come on, guys. If you're going to take the time to mail something, take 5 extra seconds, like, and write me a note on the box. Or, you know. But not that I'm ungrateful. I'm very grateful, actually. Thank you so much. I also received a little card from Paula from the Shaker Museum. Oh, I Instagrammed about it. You can look at that. And then okay. Let's do one more show and share, and then Grace has to stop so that you guys can return to your life. Okay? Oh, it's a little like mustachy. Okay, coffee. Have to have coffee. So the very last show and share I wanted to share was this, because Michelle Owls, I think is her name, on Instagram. She's so sweet. Oh, she's so sweet. I really love her. If you go look her up on Instagram, Michelle Owl or Owls. She has a little Etsy shop, and she is so sweet. I love her taste. I love everything. She was curious about this. Now, this is the Harry Potter magazine that Mel, single-handed knitter, my lovely, lovely Mel, she gave this to me for my birthday. She signed Ginny's butt. It says, love you, Grace. Gracie? Grace. I can't remember. She calls me Gracie. You can call me Gracie if you want. I can't really introduce myself as Gracie. I just want it to be natural. I want it to be like, if you want to call me that, you please call me that. She also, I insisted that she wrote me a little love note. And it's really funny because Mel, she went ahead and she got this for me at Saco River Dye Works because they had a copy, and she'd heard my woeful tale about how they didn't sell them in Canada, and I was so sad. But she's not the only one that heard me, because I'm, you know, loud and I blather along, and so Angie Silverbells also heard me, and she came and brought me a copy. She got it at Knitwit, and it was so sweet, and I was just like, oh, I already have one. And so I decided, because Mel bought me this, but she didn't have one for herself, so I was like, Angie, can we give it to Mel, please? Can we just pass along the love? Like, I mean, I could have just lied and taken it and said thank you, and then given it to Mel, but I can't do that. I have problems. I'm so Canadian, so polite. They make fun of me. April Quilts and Mel were sitting with me at dinner, and they were razzing me about something, making fun of me, and I can take it. I like it when people razz me. It's kind of like, you know, you tease because you love. Like, you wouldn't bother to tease me if you didn't love me. But then I was just like, shut up! And they're like, well, you're so polite. You're so polite. And I'm like, shut up! I'm sorry! Like, as I'm telling them to shut up, I'm like apologizing for saying shut up. And they laughed and laughed and laughed. I thought they were going to choke on their dinner. It's a good thing I only have expired first aid. So I was like, please don't choke, please don't choke. Okay, so then these are the mittens. Remember we were talking about the Sword of Gryffindor mittens. I'm going to knit those. And I'm going to knit that owl cardigan too. I cannot help myself. But look at those mittens. And I got the exact yarn. It was that Road to China Light yarn. It's the exact stuff it calls for. So that is going to happen. That is going to happen after Christmas when I get a chance. Hopefully. All right. So we've been talking for just over an hour. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're still here. Thank you so much. Without you, it wouldn't be worth my time. So thank you for coming. Thank you for visiting with me. Thank you for your coffee must be long gone, but I bet you've got a lot of work done on your projects, unless you were laughing or something or looking up things I'm talking about. I'm going to try to make this a weekly thing. I love it. I'm going to try to commit to that just because it is so life-giving and so wonderful. The community of knitters is just amazing. I'm going to start doing some shout outs, I think, for people that join my Ravelry group. You know, just once I get a new person, you go ahead, you send me a message. You can send me a personal message. I will try my best to reply. Right now, we're just in the baby stages, and so there's an awful lot happening, and I'm like, holy wow, what do I do? So I'm trying to reply and comment. I will try to give some shout outs. If I can't do that, or if I forget you, it's not on purpose. Just remind me and just say, hey, Grace, don't forget me anymore. I want you to tell me that you love me, and I will, because I do. I love you. I love you guys so much. You're so encouraging. Oh my gosh, it's just like, it makes you feel like $1,000,000. I have so many ideas. Most of them will probably start in the new year. I'd love to do like a knit along or a read along or just about anything along. I love that. I just think when you get to be involved in a community and you get to be friends with new people across the miles, it is just so life-giving. So we've been talking about how I need a catchphrase. And I think I had this idea from Mel, because she's genius, something to the effect of, we're going to try this out. Now it is safe for you to return to life as normal. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next week.